Exotic weapons in Destiny are very unique. Some might even call them special. Today, I've put together a list of the top 10 exotic special weapons that every Destiny player needs. Some focus on helping you clear out a ton of enemies, while others help you deal some of the highest DPS possible on a boss. Remember to leave a like if you find this video helpful, and if you like seeing build videos and other Destiny 2 helpful content, consider hitting that subscribe button. With that being said, let's jump right on into it. Coming in at number 10 is Divinity. This arc trace rifle is one of a kind. With its perk, Judgment, dealing sustained damage creates a bubble on a target. This weapon makes the tier list for one main reason: annoying boss DPS phases. With Divinity, you can make an easy to hit crit spot for your teammates, and it adds a 15% weaken effect on the enemy. The nice thing about this is that bosses that have small hitboxes or move around a lot, like wizards, and potentially some of the new dread enemies, with this giant bubble, you can easily use weapons like snipers or linears to melt those bosses. And now that Whisper of the Worm is so strong, this could become a viable option for missions that have boss tormentors in the final shape. It will also intrinsically stun overload champions, which can make it a viable option for warlocks that run Cenotaph to generate more ammo for their team. To get this weapon, you have to follow the Divine Fragmentation quest, and in the process, you will have to do a few secret puzzles in the Garden of Salvation raid. Yes, it's annoying, but there are people out there that help with div runs, so be on the lookout for some of those creators. And coming in at number 9, we have Vex Caliber. This Void Glaive allows you to generate an overshield for you and your nearby teammates. This allows you to play into some of the Void builds that run off of having an overshield. Glaives already reduce incoming damage by 95%, so the fact that you can now also generate an overshield gives you immense survivability. You can even play into builds like the Strand Titan build with Worm God Caress to deal massive amounts of damage with just the melee and not having to spend any ammo at all. I love this weapon as my tool to survive. With something like Banner of War, Healing Rifts, or Restoration, you can pretty much tank anything. In seasons that revolve around glaives for stunning champions, this weapon is fantastic for Nightfalls and even Grandmaster Nightfalls. To get it, there's a questline called The Variable that will lead you to an exotic mission called Avalon and eventually rewarding you with this exotic glaive. And at number 8, we have the Cold Heart, which is an arc trace rifle that has some amazing arc synergies. While dealing damage with this weapon, it builds up power, dealing up to an additional 80% damage when fully charged. Of course, this extra damage is nice, but the main reason to use it actually comes from its ability to generate ionic traces. While at max charge, hits will spawn an ionic trace every 2 seconds. Ionic traces can be good for any class since they give back 12% energy to your grenade and melee, and they give you 15% to your class ability. But it really shines on arc classes since you'll have ways to go amplified, power up your build, or even double the ability energy from ionic traces. Many arc classes revolve around using your abilities as much as possible, which is why this is a perfect weapon for those classes. The only problem being that trace rifles aren't in a super solid state right now, but that will be changing in the final shape. At the end of the day, this weapon should be dealing 10% more damage to red bar enemies and 20% more damage to orange bar enemies, so it will be decently better next season. I love to use this weapon with my double special loadouts since trace rifles get a decent amount of ammo, plus it gives you more ability energy, so you shouldn't technically need to use your ammo as much. And to get this weapon, it's a year 1 exotic, so to obtain it, you have to get lucky from those exotic drops or from Xur. The Catalyst only gives you 20 stability and range, so it's not really needed for this weapon to be viable. And coming in at number 7, we have Ager Scepter, which is a stasis trace rifle that is just so much fun to use. And honestly, it's very powerful. Kills with it will create a stasis burst that will freeze any nearby enemies. Plus, stasis kills will refund 10 ammo. Being able to freeze mass amounts of targets just by getting a kill is massive. Not only are you gaining more crowd control and damage by shattering them, but most stasis builds revolve around shattering crystals or frozen enemies, and this weapon plays right into that. With both Hoarfrost Z Titan and the Osmiomancy Gloves Warlock build, you can use Whisper of Refraction to help get your class ability back quicker. And for Titans, that means more crystals. For Warlocks, that means more rifts for survival. This weapon is powerful in the hands of Titans and Hunters, but it really shines in the hands of a Warlock. With the Catalyst, you can hold the reload button to activate its alternate firing mode. In this mode, your magazine increases in size, and you deal 80% more damage. Plus, hits now apply slow. You will need your super to be fully charged to be able to activate this alternative firing mode, but when you do activate it, it will start to drain your super energy. This is why it's so powerful on Warlock. The Warlock Stasis Super is honestly just so bad. But with this weapon, you can take that horrible super and make it into a super powerful weapon. I love using this alternate fire mode when there's a tougher target like a mini boss to kill. This thing absolutely shreds tormentors. You can get this weapon from the exotic kiosk in the tower, and its catalyst will randomly drop when completing playlist activities like Vanguard Ops and Crucible. And at number 6, we have Arbalist. This kinetic linear fusion rifle has been one of my favorite weapons for a long time. This weapon intrinsically has barrier piercing rounds that will instantly pop any shield it hits. This is fantastic for activities with barrier champions, or if they have a modifier like match game where you need to match the element of a shield to deal any real damage to it. It will also apply disruption break, so that when you break that shield, you'll give kinetic weapons 50% more damage for 5 seconds. But this can also be huge for teammates using kinetic weapons like Outbreak Perfected, or the Lucky Pants with a kinetic hand cannon, as just a few options that will absolutely cook after you break a shield. With its catalyst, it will instantly reload its weapon by breaking a shield, which can be nice, but it's honestly not really necessary. This weapon has fallen a little bit since linears got nerfed just over a year ago, but it still has a place high on my list because of its ability to instantly pop any shield. We have activities like the dungeon Ghost of the Deep, where the 2 bosses both have shields that need 500 to 600,000 damage to break them. That means without this weapon, you could use your super on a boss and it would barely even tickle them.
Tickle, tickle, tickle.
Or you can take Arbalist and instantly pop that shield to start dealing massive damage. These bosses alone go from a 5 to 6 phase without Arbalist to a 2 to 3 phase with Arbalist. There aren't a ton of places where this weapon is as powerful as it is in a dungeon like Ghost of the Deep, but Ghost of the Deep has some fantastic weapons. So if you plan on running it, someone on your team will need this weapon. To get it, you can visit Shah Han in the Cosmodrome to pick up a quest called Another Last City, which will eventually reward you with this weapon. Its catalyst can be randomly dropped when completing playlist activities like Vanguard Ops or Crucible. And coming in at number 5, we have the Navigator. This Strand Trace Rifle is one of those weapons that once you get it, it changes your life. Its raw damage isn't the best, but it will be getting that trace rifle buff next season. The biggest thing about it is its catalyst. You can now hold reload to switch to the alternate firing mode and shoot out a grapple point. There is a 30-second cooldown between creating grapple points. And in the past, this meant that with builds like Banner of War Titan, you can spam grapple melees on a boss to absolutely decimate them. This is getting a pretty big nerf in the final shape, but it will still be strong. Now, instead of being able to infinitely grapple to them, you can only grapple to the same point about 5 times. This means that the boss DPS side of it will go down, but you can still use it in rooms with large amounts of enemies to quickly wipe them out, or you can easily decimate mini bosses. And while this is getting a nerf, I still think it's going to be very strong and a very fun option to use. Not to mention that it'll make traversing hard jumping puzzles a breeze. People don't typically use it for its other perks where you can shoot an ally to heal them and it'll give both you and them woven mail. But it could become more useful in the prismatic builds where some of the fragments will play off of you having a subclass buff, like woven mail. Plus you'll be getting the extra damage resistance, and who doesn't want that? This weapon is a random drop from the last encounter of the dungeon Ghost of the Deep. Its catalyst can be obtained by completing certain objectives in the Ghost of the Deep dungeon. And at number 4, we have such a simple weapon, the Conditional Finality. This shotgun is such a unique weapon, but a very powerful one. The first shot will deal stasis damage, and hitting almost all of the pellets will freeze the target. The second shot will deal solar damage, and hitting almost all of those pellets will cause an ignition. The stasis shot will benefit from stasis mods, and the solar shot will benefit from solar mods. It's pretty simple. The first shot freezes, the second shot makes it explode. This also means that unstoppable champs can be stunned by either shot. While it doesn't deal a ton of boss DPS, it does play into some pretty nice class synergies, and it can cook mini bosses or champions. I love bringing this weapon as my mini boss melter. There are so many activities in the game where this gun is just plain good. Its shatter and ignition damage is so high that you can pretty much take it anywhere and have a good time. There's not much else to say about it. It's simple, but it's strong. Conditional Finality is a random drop when completing the last encounter of the Root of Nightmares raid. And coming in at number 3, we have the Buried Bloodline. This Void sidearm is the best looking gun in the game. What can I say? I like crossbows. Besides it being so damn good looking, it's actually one of the strongest as well. A common trend as to why some of these weapons are making the list is their capability to give more ability energy or have subclass synergies. The thing is, this weapon synergizes perfectly with Void, but it also becomes a million times stronger on any other class. Hits will give back a small amount of health, but when you get 4 kills or kill a mini boss, you gain Devour. Devour will give you more grenade energy and heal you on kills. Devour is the strongest part of a Void subclass, and now you can get it on any class, but it really starts to shine with its catalyst. When you have Devour, hits will apply a small weaken effect. No, this isn't the 30% like Tractor, but it is the common 15% like most other sources. Being able to activate weaken at range on any target is huge. This weapon already hits hard, but with the weakening effect, you can now melt any target in sight with this weapon, or any other weapon. Like the Navigator, its ability to give you a subclass buff means it could be perfect for some prismatic builds. This weapon is a random drop from the last encounter of the dungeon, Warlord's Ruin. Its catalyst can be obtained by completing certain objectives in that same dungeon. And coming in at number 2, we have the Izanagi's Burden. This kinetic sniper has to be one of the best options for boss DPS rotations. Depending on how many rounds are in the mag, you can hold the reload button and consume all of those rounds into one single high damage round. The catalyst is necessary since it provides the ×4 stack of Honed Edge to receive an extra 20% damage. At max stacks, this weapon will deal 155% more damage in one shot. This is huge for DPS rotations, since you can pull out this weapon, fire that one strong shot, hard reload to gain another powerful shot, and then start dumping your heavy ammo. Timing wise, this lines up very well with auto-loading weapons. There are 2 reasons why this didn't make it number 1 on my list. First, the kinetic buff is going away for boss damage. This means that next season, this weapon will deal 15% less damage, and it's also not receiving that 7% sniper damage buff. I'm sure it will still be a good option, but it just won't be as potent as it is right now. And second, the casual player can't effectively use this weapon. I have a ton of hours in this game, and I still even struggle to get the proper timing down so you can skip the reload and go straight to that alt reload. Most players will struggle to shoot that one shot and then reload straight to a ×4 shot again. And in that case, you have to reload twice, which really kills the DPS for this weapon. If you can get that hard reload timing down to skip the initial reload, this is a top tier DPS weapon and is definitely worth it when you have the catalyst. This weapon can be bought from the tower kiosk, and its catalyst will randomly drop when completing playlist activities like Vanguard Ops and Crucible. And before we get to our number 1 spot, I do have some honorable mentions. First up, we have the Merciless. This solar fusion rifle was once the king of DPS, and now still holds a decent spot for some situations. By getting a kill and reloading, you gain a 50% increased damage buff, and hits with this weapon will stack up to 15 times, which decreases how long it takes to shoot a shot, all the way down to 20% of its normal charge time. This makes it super easy to dump all of your ammo. It's not the best for boss DPS, but it can be nice when you have mini bosses to take out, like in Onslaught. We also have Dead Messenger. This light aligned waveframe grenade launcher will create 3 waves of energy that will either be arc, solar, or void, and being able to change the element on the fly can be good for certain activities. This weapon is phenomenal at ad clearing, and with its catalyst you can gain Demolitionist to get back even more grenade energy. If you like waveframe grenade launchers, this is a really fun option to use. We also have the Wave Splitter. This Void Trace rifle oscillates between low, medium, and high power, dealing 68% more damage when at full power. But when you pick up an orb of power, it refills the mag, and for 10 seconds, you'll only be dealing high power shots. Plus, sustained damage will suppress a target. This trace rifle can be super fun to use on Void builds that excel at producing orbs of power. And we also have Tessellation. This multi-element fusion rifle is one of the most unique weapons in the game. Its energy is based on the element of your grenade, and kills with it will get you 20% more grenade energy. You can hold reload to consume your grenade, turning your next shot into a super powerful rocket. This projectile nukes mini bosses, and is honestly just a ton of fun to use. It's a very niche weapon that most people don't use, but it's worth trying out for yourself. And coming in at number 1, we have Witherhoard. This kinetic grenade launcher is easy and fun to use. Firing at the ground, this weapon will create a blighted area that will deal damage for about 5 seconds. Alternatively, you can directly hit an enemy to blight them, making them periodically take damage for roughly 10 seconds. Blighted enemies that die will drop a normal Witherhoard projectile on the ground. The beauty of this weapon comes from 3 different facets. Number 1, you can now deal damage over time. Having ways to double dip on damage by dealing damage over time and using another weapon at the same time can be some of the best and easy to use methods for DPS phases. And number 2, it creates those blighted pools on the ground. So this weapon is actually fairly decent at ad clearing and locking down lanes like an Onslaught. And number 3, being able to blight an enemy means that if you have teammates using Malfeasance or Wish Ender, they'll deal an extra 25% damage to those targets. The Catalyst is fairly necessary since you gain auto-loading holster for it. That way you can have very quick timing between shooting that shot and swapping back to your heavy for DPS phases. Now I know some of you would put Izanagi's above this weapon, but the main reason I'm putting this at number 1 is for its all-around ability at just being very good. You never have to reload, you can deal decent damage to bosses and mini-bosses, and it's good at ad clearing. It's a very strong weapon for how simple it is to use. Not to mention it pairs perfectly with weapons that have bait and switch, since you never have to reload and you want to use your other weapons to proc bait and switch anyway. To get this weapon, you can buy it from the kiosk in the tower. Its catalyst can be obtained by completing the bank job quest line, picked up from Banshee in the tower. Final shape is almost here, so make sure to get any of these weapons that you don't already have. We have covered the top 10 exotic primary and heavy weapons, so links to those videos in the description. If you found this video helpful or just enjoyed seeing a new perspective, feel free to like the video and comment down below which exotic special is your favorite and why. Keep an eye out for future videos as we continue to explore the ever-evolving world of Destiny 2. Until then, may the threads of fate be ever in your favor. This is Lucky Mech, signing off. See you on the next adventure, Guardians.